All right.
You better get
That-
closer to me. What do you mean?
Okay. There. All right. I think we're live. So
we'll find out.
Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of Chronicles from the Cushion. I'm Sheldon Wickwar, track journalist. We got Tanner over there, track announcer. And then we're joined by 25X Gentle Giant, Troy Burkhart. Troy, what's up?
I don't even know if this mic's working. How do you know?
Well, I turned it on, Troy.
It's on.
Yeah, before you even got up here, they were on. So we're good to go this time.
I'm doing good. Good. Glad you guys had me.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Troy, I guess how we usually do stuff is just kind of let the driver talk about how he got into the sport, or, however you want to take it. And then Tanner and I will throw questions throughout the conversation.
Okay. Well, I grew up down by Dodge City, outside of Dodge City, and my cousins, I have a bunch of family from La Crosse area, McCracken, and I moved from Dodge to come up here to Hayes and work, and I bought a house in Liebenthal, Kansas, which is just south of Hayes, and my cousins were young, and Rob Skillett, the Orion Pan, he was around a bunch, and next thing, my cousins is asking me to drive a cruiser for him, and we built a pickup cruiser, and cruiser race is good for the sport, but back then, we had Cruiser National, and Cruisers was the gem. I mean, most of the guys in the pits at some point in time drove a cruiser because there was 100 of them around here, and we raced for $1,000 to win 25 years ago in a cruiser race at Waukene, which is crazy, to think about that, how things have changed, but it was a big deal, and they'd get 50 to 75 cars, and I was just talking to Chad Sterling up at Stockton. He's going to be taking over the Stockton track next year, and he said his dad had a race 25, 30 years ago and had 150 cars in it, and 75 of them were cruisers. So we got started racing cruisers, and my cousin, sometimes one of us couldn't be there, and that's kind of what's cool about cruisers is the car's probably at the racetrack every night, but somebody different is maybe driving it every night, or gassing it up. And one night he couldn't race it, and my wife Tiffany was we were racing for points in Jetmore, and I was always the driver, and so I put Tiffany in the passenger seat and let her run the gas, and she just ran the shit out of it, and I swear to God, I thought this is going to be a nightmare. She's going to be pussyfooting it over there, and she's just wide open. I was like, whoa, trying to give her hand signals on how the hell to chill out. And she just drove the piss out of it. And I think I never raced the cruiser again with anybody besides Tiffany. So we raced for years. And then we had a rollover accident at Jetmore one night, and she got beat up pretty good, and ended up going to the hospital. And Tate was my oldest boy, was in the pits with our family and stuff, and after that she was like, I don't think I can do that anymore, and to be honest with you, when she didn't want to do it, I stopped doing it, and then I opened up a business and got the business going, and kids were playing sports, and we just got away from it for almost 20 years, it seemed like, and for some reason my kid starts hanging out the damn racetrack, and it had nothing to do with me, because I was like, I got out, I feel good about getting out, we got rid of all our stuff, I'm never coming back. And you can ask, I mean, the first people I seen around the racetrack were like, you're going to get back into it, aren't you? And I'm like, no. And I was actually doing some barbecue stuff at the time. We traveled around, did competition barbecue. and I went up to Kansas City to the American Royal, and it happened to be the same weekend as Boone, and or the Boone Prelude was the weekend of that. So we got done, and my son's begging me to come up to. It's only 3.5 hours from Kansas City or something. Boone is, and so I jumped in the motorhome and drove up there, and mostly I think he needed a place to stay because they were running out of room, and so he needed Dad's rig to stack about 8 of his buddies in to sleep. But I sat up there on the catwalk and watched some races for the first time in years. And got drunk as hell, and by the end of the little Boone trip, I think we had cars bought, and then like next thing you know, we got rigs, and I took Tate to Hayes, was his first race ever, and we came out here and he just was terrible. I said, we got up Sunday morning and I said, who's racing Sunday? And he's like, nobody. What do you mean? I was like, well, you got to go work on this a little bit because you weren't very good. And he said, I think they're racing up in Topeka. And so we went to, it wasn't Mayetta, but it wasn't Thunder Hill. It was in Topeka. What was the track that?
Was it Heartland Park?
Heartland Park. We went to Heartland Park on Sunday and ran. And it's funny because we met. That was the first time I really got to know Doug Money and Eric Cross and, a couple of the guys there. That first weekend we went racing out of town, and they're, lifelong friends now, and that's been 10 years ago or so. We've been back at it. And then the following year I ended up buying a car and a stock car from Chad Sterling. He got out of it and I bought his stuff, and the rest is history, man. We're every weekend we're going somewhere. I mean, we raced Thursday at Waukene, Friday night, last night here at RPM Speedway. We race again tonight at RPM Speedway. We're headed to Albion, Nebraska for the Tanner Pelster Memorial, which if you guys haven't been to that deal, you need to go. It's awesome. I mean, it's such a great memorial race for a kid. And then we're going to Beatrice. So we'll be racing Thursday to Monday, which is nuts.
You gonna get more compact for $4,000 to win?
Man, I watch them things all the time, and I'm like, I like a car that handles nice. That is not something I'm fit to drive. Them dudes bury that son of a bitch off in there, and the wheels are cranked to the left, and the thing just about looks like it's going to the hot dog stand, and then all of a sudden it whips around, and it's like I don't know how they do it. I mean, it doesn't look as fun to me, but there's some dudes that are really, really good at it, and I think I'll leave that to them.
The 4-cylinder professionals.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of cool, the story that you just told about Tate getting you back into the sport, because, I kind of have a similar story in a way, because I started covering the sport in 2021, and I work over at Better Built Trailers in Greenfield, and I just kept mentioning going to the racetrack, and Mike Boehner was like, well, maybe we should do something. And so, similar type deal. I kind of got the fire reignited for Mike. I guess you kind of said that you were pretty much ready to be done with it, but does the fire ever truly go out, or is it always, in the back of your mind that, hey, we might do this again?
I think racers are all just, somewhat of addicts. There's, I've been addicted to a lot of things in my life. Never drugs or alcohol, but I've, when I get into something, it's all or nothing, and wellness or any kind of competition type stuff. And, golf, there's certain things that, at 50 years old, you're unlimited to doing. And we're lucky to be in a position that we can afford to come out and support some of these local tracks and do the stuff that we enjoy doing. But once you've been in a car and, you know, it's easy to step away because people, it's difficult. You know what I mean? It's a difficult sport. It's challenging. It's frustrating. It's expensive. There's lots of reasons, probably more reasons to not do it than to do it. But we all love it. But if you ever stepped away and then you do it again, it's and just coming out and now it's, you know, for us, it's almost like going to the lake. You know, all of our friends are in the pits.
Yep.
You know, we get to see everybody every weekend. Sometimes it's the same group of people. Sometimes it's a totally new group of people. And last night, Johnny Yutterman won in the stock cars, and a couple of years ago, I didn't even know that kid. You know, and this year we've been golfing a couple of times. You know, drank some beers with his pops, and his dad races late model, and his nephew Quentin runs a stock car, and they're out of Colorado, and they've been coming down, and it's just cool, man, to meet new people and good people, and he beat my kid last night. Well, and I really wish my kid would have won, but I was very, very excited for him to pick up a victory. You know, that's cool.
Yeah. And I think that's something I've found, you know, in the short 3.5 years covering the sport. I mean, I've made a bunch of friends out there, and, you know, it just, you know, when I first got into the sport, I guess I was kind of intimidated by everyone, you know, but I found out real quickly that, I mean, you guys are just, you know, average Joes, and, you know, the sport's really welcoming, you know.
At times it can be welcoming.
Unless you're a hobby
you know,
stock.
there's definitely times you don't want to come to my trailer,
Yeah.
but there's most of the time where it's very welcoming. You know?
Yeah.
The cooler's always got beer in it, and the wife's usually got food rolling. So if you ever need something to eat or something to drink, we're there.
Yeah. Well, I guess one thing we can touch on. So for those that might not know, Troy, you have a stock car and you guys have a light model as well. I guess a couple different questions. One, you know, jumping between the cars, I guess touch on that a little bit. And then also, I guess we can talk about the class as a whole, because, you know, the stock car class is probably, you know, you can make the argument, and I believe that the stock cars are probably the top class, you know, right there with modifieds. But, you know, talk about what you think about the class, and, you know, having modified drivers jump into the stock cars and just have all the experience in that class.
Yeah, I mean, we race stock cars because I feel like it's the premier class. You know, I mean, when you come out and watch racing, it's always the class that puts on usually the best show. It's probably the most competitive. Racing is just tighter. You know what I mean? There's fast guys in all the classes, but you put, you know, 10. Yeah, there was times last year we'd show up, there'd be 6 stock cars, and it's like you don't have a clue who's going to win it. I mean, it could have been anybody.
Yep.
And it's tough. You know how the track is. You know, you can put them on a ball, and you got to be. It definitely is driver related. The other cars. I mean, above that, you know, you get late models, sprint cars, and modifieds. The modifieds have so much chassis adjustment that you can dial yourself in or out of the race. In the stock cars, you're so limited to what you're able to do, that it really comes down to the driver. And there's not some magic pair of shocks out there that's going to fix something. It just is. It's a lot more in the driver's hands. We're a little heavier. We're all on similar power, and it's pretty cool. And the late model deal. I bought that because a year ago they started introducing that they were going to have some late model races, local stuff, and the late model deal's a fairly inexpensive thing to get into. It's expensive to keep them going, but I bought a complete sellout type deal from a guy and got a 2019 Rocket and a good motor and a great car. I haven't had to do a whole lot of work to it, but it's radically different. The last year we had all these rules that basically to reduce horsepower in all the classes. So in a late model, you can show up and run the same motor as a hobby stock has, and you can run the same motor as a modified has. You can run the same motor as a stock car has. You can run a wide bore full aluminum roller. There's no limits to what engine you can run. So they made you run restrictor plates to equal out, depending on the block size, the cubic inches, roughly what kind of power they're making, their weights. This year, they changed those rules and just kind of said, we're going to let you run what you brung, and you have to run a specific tire compound. So if you have a cast iron block, like a 602 crate or a 604 crate, you can run a 2 on the right rear, which is a softer compound tire. And then you can, like my motor is a IMCA spec motor that's it makes 615 horsepower. I have to run a 3 compound tire, and then the wide bores or full aluminum motors that are 900 plus horsepower, they have to run a 4 compound tire. And it really has screwed us up. One, we just kind of, I only raced it like 5 times last year. And, for us to go out and buy a big motor, they're 40, 50, 60 grand, and that's not why I bought the car. I bought the car to be competitive around here at some local shows. I only had plans of running it, 5 to 10 times a year. And now the rules package is kind of, a guy with 950 horsepower is not going to, regardless of the compound of tire, is not going to run with a guy with a crate motor. They qualify those cars. It's hammer down, usually in qualifying, and unfortunately you just can't make up that kind of difference gap wise. So we've struggled this year with the car. But last year we raced in Dodge and we had a 20 lap stock car feature. I ran a 15 lap B main that I won in the late model that got me into a 50 lap feature in the late model. So I ran heat race, qualified, and a B and a 50 lap feature. It was like 96 laps or some shit in a late model. And the same night I run 38 laps in a stock car. It's 105 outside. I'm pounding waters as much as I possibly can, and it was a nightmare. There was like 3 of us that did it, and every one of them wore smooth out. Do not do that again. You know what I mean? Like we thought it was no big deal, but the late model takes a lot more energy. And actually, I put my son Tate in the late model at Waukene this last weekend, just because he's kind of the brains behind our operation. I just get in and drive the shit out of whatever I put in, and he's into the shocks and springs and setups and stuff. And I told him, I said, man, you just got to drive the thing and see if you can figure it out. And it's crazy that you can be as fast as we are in that late model and still not be competitive. We've had some good runs with it. we want to be here actually for the Hay Show, and made most of the features this year, but haven't been. Last year we were in the top 5 2 or 3 times. This year we have not been that good. But
All right, I'm calling Tate when I need setup advice on the dirt track game.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's the man. And
What
honestly, that gaming thing, he played that all the time during COVID and yeah, in the winter.
what do you think has been the biggest learning curve for you jumping, from the stock car to late model back down? Is there things that you kind of have to unteach yourself when you're going from the stock car into the late models, or just a whole different ball game and you're still trying to keep up with it?
It's radically different. The getting in the car and just making laps in the car is not difficult to do. But when I feel something in my car, in the stock car, I know what my shock is supposed to feel like. I know what my spring rates do and change, and I know what a turn here, a turn there does. I know what adding some lead or moving some lead around and wheel spacers, because I've been doing it for so long. I have hundreds of thousands of laps in the stock car, and I'm so comfortable in that class that it just comes natural. I can be out there for 2 laps and go, I need to make this change. In the late model, I haven't ran it enough to be able to. I know what the car's doing. I just don't know. You crawl up underneath one of them things, and there's a zillion holes, and it's just like way overcomplicated. And I'm old school. I grab a shock I push the thing down, I pull on it, and I'm like, that's what I need on the left front, or that's what I need on the right front. In the late model, it's together, and you got to have a smasher, and you got to run these specific numbers, and then the numbers that you get from one guy at Rocket, or because I run Rocket, they give you the setup that's working for everybody right now, but my iron block motor is 60 pounds heavier in the nose, and my car makes 300 less horsepower than a World Outlaw or Lucas Oil late model, and you can't use that exact same setup, and I don't have, and like in stock car class, there's not a guy here I couldn't go up to and ask him what to do, or that they haven't asked me what to do at some point in time. So we have a very good camaraderie between those racers, and I don't know them dudes enough to just holler at them, and I feel weird doing that because it's going to take some time. There's been some guys that have helped us out, but they're not in the car, and it's just difficult, to be honest with you, to move from one to the other. But I do enjoy it, and we've definitely made some gains on it. I feel like right now we're just lacking on some horsepower, to be honest with you. So
I'll try a fun question we can ask. I started asking it a couple podcasts ago. Does Troy Burkhart have any race day superstitions? Are you superstitious on race day, or are you pretty laid back?
I'm grilling chicken wings on race day. I don't give a damn about some of that shit. I had this kid, old Connor Barnes, man. If you ever get him up here, you have to. He's down there. We're at Boone, and I made some hot wings at race day, and he's over there. Man, them smell good, And I give him a plate of them, and he's over there, and he takes them over to his dad, and his dad's like, "Hey, no chicken on race day," and he throws them away. Throws them. I mean, he already ate some of them. You know what I mean? He throws the rest of them away, and I don't give a shit about that stuff. I mean, now if I win or if I have a really good run, and I remember like where I sat my hat at or something stupid, like I do, like I remember those things. Like, hey, that's the same thing I did the day that I won here that one time, and so maybe I'll do it again. But I've had so many ups and downs in the class that you cannot what color underwear you're wearing or what you ate the day you raised don't have a goddamn thing to do with it. You know, to be honest with you, we're sitting there watching them water the racetrack. There's a hell of a lot more going on with superstitions with that dude, the water truck, than what I'm doing in the day of the race. You know what I mean? The preparation of the racetrack and what guys like. You know, if that thing's got a smooth and slick and there's a little bit of moisture on the top, that's my jam. You know, I'm not going to roll around the tires almost ever. I think I've won one race in my lifetime around the tires. I rip the top, and I like bombing sliders. You know, I mean, I have a lot of confidence in my car, and the preparation of the track has way more to do with how I'm going to perform. Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, back in the day when I first started, it was, man, muddy and heavy and wide open and fast, and now I just hate that shit. I'm like, slow the tracks down and let me get something slick and smooth and you know, so no, I don't care about that stuff though.
Troy's eating chicken. He's going to have a green race car with a peanut sponsorship.
Yeah.
$50 bill in hand.
Yep.
Yeah. What else?
Well, you mentioned that Tate was kind of the one that refired racing for you, and I can't remember. It was a couple years ago, but over in Colby, you and Tate were the only two drivers to win feature events that season. Just kind of what's the best part of getting to race, especially in the same class with your kid?
Well, I mean, it's I to be honest with you, I would rather not race in the same class with him because I don't, when I'm on the racetrack, I don't like to ever pull off, and I really don't like to pull off just because I'm you know, not having a great night. There's a lot of people that do that. But if my kid is out there leading and I can't see him from where I'm at on the racetrack, I'm probably pulling in to watch it because I love watching him race. And actually, it's why we have our YouTube channel. That deal started. Tate was a wrestler, and Tiffany got to recording his wrestling matches a long time ago. And, you know, when we started racing, I said, you know, for him to get any better, he's going to have to see what he's doing in the car. And you can always go back and look at those videos and see the track conditions and things like that. And I love watching him race. And I like just coming to the racetrack together, you know. I mean, even Taryn,
he got a feature win last night.
Yeah, he got a win last night, which is crazy. He's only raced twice in his whole life. And they were leading at Waukita and broke the motor, and then he comes back out his second night and picks up a win, last lap pass, and that was pretty dramatic last night. That shit was wild. He was he's just excited as all get out, you know. And but we come to the racetrack with their girlfriends and the baby and you know, the fans, and you know, we had 15-20 people down there at the trailer last night after the races, having some cocktails, and I mean, to me, that's the funnest part about it, you know, and I love that part about it. One, I get this, I'm not going to be here forever, and so it's really, really cool that I get to spend some time with my kids doing something that they enjoy and they like watching us do. And I'll, you know, there's a lot of women out there that don't come to the races, don't support their guys probably as much as they should. And I'm one of those very, very lucky dudes. Tiffany loves racing probably more than I do. You know, if it was not for her, we definitely would be doing it. That she is 100% the person and the reason behind it. You know, she absolutely loves coming to the track. She loves watching her kid, and it's just it keeps the family together. You know what I mean? Or it has so far, anyways. And you know what's weird is I've had issues with almost every guy out there, and I've rubbed. I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember the King of Hill thing when I door banged Tate, my kid, for the lead or for the win? And he was so pissed off at me. It wasn't even funny. But that's the only time we've ever actually had an issue with each other, you know. So luckily we haven't had to deal with those kind of things, racing each other every single night. But you know, he's about as patient, and he's not gonna do something stupid. I'm usually the one that does the stupid things. So he's pretty talented kid. I'm proud of him.
So is another late model in the future for Burkhart Racing? Or Tate like his stock car?
Yeah, no, Tate likes the stock car. And if they don't, you know, there might be a late model in the future for sale for us. To be honest with you, if they don't get some shit figured out with the rules package, because we can't. You know, one, I don't do this. I can't run around in the back and be content with that. Like I need to feel like we have a chance to win. And if what gives us that chance is a bunch of money that we have to spend, that's not cool, you know? So, and I know it's expensive, right? It's expensive for everybody, but we're not running these, you know, Lucas Oil or World Outlaw late models. You know, it needs to be competitive, and it needs to be, the rules package needs to be better, in my opinion, to make it more competitive. And then I would love to just have a couple late models, to be honest with you. But I would never ever get rid of the stock cars ever. That you go to Boone, you go to Super Nationals, we go to Batesville, Arkansas, and race for that 20,000 to win show. We're racing for 10,000 to win at Tanner Pelster's deal in a couple of days. You know, we're racing for 100,000 to win up in Iowa later this year. We raced for 100,000 to win last year. The stock cars have big money shows that get behind them, and you go, you know, compete at that level when you have guys like Ricky Thornton Jr. You know what I mean? Like RT was in my goddamn heat race last year at Farley. You know what I mean? And the whole time I'm just like, I got to make sure I beat this dude. You know, I got one opportunity to beat him this year, and then he ends up winning the whole thing. You know, which is it's awesome. It's awesome for our sport, and it just proves that we're not out there. And I mean, it's a wonderful class, and I would have. I mean, there's a lot of people that would argue that it's not the best class out there. You know, there's lots of great classes, but it's definitely one of them, you know.
You know, something that just kind of came to my mind while you were talking about all this. We know, like, USMTS, that's your professional modified tour. Why? And, you know, everybody loves stocks. That's kind of the class too tough to tame has been its nickname given. Yep. Why, unless there's not one there's one not to my knowledge, but why do we not see like a professional stock car tour anywhere?
One, it would, you know, the old days, I mean, I don't know how long you've been watching this or doing this, but remember the old super stock days when we were running cruisers 25 years ago, and the super stocks were around. That was like the equivalent to the late model thing. I mean, it was wild. I mean, them dudes had hogs, and it was like the USMTS of stock car racing. But it's the same thing that I just said about the late model deal. The thing that makes the competitiveness in the stock car class is we're all on very similar engines. The super stock class got carried away because they didn't put a cubic inch rule on it and a compression rule on it, and it was kind of run what you brung. And you got guys with full blown, I mean, nasty stock cars back in the day. And if you were to do that today, and those guys were built different. You know, they're building their engines in their shop, and they're, you know, just the classes and the type of people. You don't have to. Back in the day, you didn't have to have a bunch of money to be very fast. Nobody builds all their own stuff, or it's very rare that happens. It takes a lot of work to keep up on a car, let alone do the machine work and be smart enough to do it right. There's guys that build those engines now that it's just easy to buy, but you take a USMTS motor compared to an IMCA motor, and it's 3 times the money. If we had a stock car class that you had an engine that was 3 times the money, it wouldn't be as good, because one, we don't have the ability to hook that power up almost currently. That's what makes it competitive. If we had to go out there and race on the track right now and it's dusty slick like it is right now, we don't use all the power ever anyways. That's why it's in the driver's hands. The cars are so heavy, the tires narrow. You get those better classes. They get a better tire. They're going to build the chassis out of chromoly or something different, and next thing you know, you got engines with titanium rods in them and all this craziness that it just takes away from some of it. Sometimes great racing is simple, and you don't have those old school guys that have the ability to build the stuff themselves anymore. I mean, if you do, it's few and far between. And if you got a guy that's super talented and can build his own stuff, but some dude can go buy it because he's got money to go buy it, that guy's probably going to beat that guy that built it himself still today. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. And you got a class that I would like to see, our class in a like, who's that guy that put on those big 100,000 to win races? XR.
Oh yeah,
Barry Braun.
Barry Braun was kind of trying to do that, right? Where he was allowing USRA cars, IMCA cars to compete against each other at those big races, those 100,000 to win races. That's how they are. It's not an IMCA sanctioned event. It's not a USRA. It's an XR event, right? And he was getting a bunch of people to show up, but it's because he's paying a ton of money, And I wish that it seems like that's fading away more than it's growing, unfortunately. But it would be I would just do that. But the problem with that is then the local guys struggle. I mean, we bring 2 cars to the racetrack every night to a local racetrack, whether it's Colby, Dodge City, Hayes, Waukene, Stockton. There's 12 people in our group, that we're buying pit passes for, and that's if we were out racing some other big thing, that takes away from that the local racetracks. And we've talked about it a lot about not maybe racing as much local stuff and just doing some big shows, but we enjoy it, and hell, our friends are out here doing it, and but we still like to go to the big shows too. We're going to Batesville again this year. We'll go to do that. It's not in Farley this year. It's somewhere else, but we're doing that 100,000 to win show again. And so I don't know if that answers your question or not. Kind of got off topic a little bit, but
it's all good. We'll just go wherever you'll take us.
Yeah. Anything else?
You want to ask him the all general one?
See
where he wants to go with that one.
We can, but I feel like he's touched on it. But if we were to hand you unlimited funds and unlimited resources, and you could race any class at any track, where'd you go? Or where would you go, and what would you race?
I mean, I would race Lucas Oil late models for sure. Like, no doubt about it. I mean, that is what I love to watch. That is my favorite thing. I'm not a sprint car guy. I'm a late model guy, and I would, I don't know what racetrack I would go to, but it would have to be something somewhere where all my people were at. You know what I mean? Because if I had unlimited budget, Tanner'd be up in the booth announcing, you know what I mean? And I'd have P. Willie down there doing victory lane shit. And, you know, we would want to, it would be awesome to do it here, you know, in front of our hometown crowd, you know? Like, I really wish that when we travel around and go to some of these big racetracks or these huge events, some of them's facilities are not as nice as some of the stuff we have around here. You know, Dodge City Raceway Park is probably one of the finest race facilities I've ever been to, you know, and we've been all over the place. And it's just about getting the events there. I mean, we could do a World Outlaw show here, right? Why is it that there's never been World Outlaw sprint cars here?
Probably $80,000.
Well, but unlimited money.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, I think they would probably love it here.
Yeah.
Here, Joaquini.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, Joaquini right now, BJ has got Joaquini. Joaquini is by far the best racetrack surface that we get to race on right now. You know, it is. I mean, that dude is killing it, and he killed it at Colby for years, and it is proof that if you put the time and effort into it, you can get it dialed. And I swear to you, he should be traveling around and preparing racetracks for some of these places. Seriously, I mean, he's that good. But yeah, exactly. Why don't we have the Lucas Oil late models come to Joaquin? You know what I mean?
I'd be down for
Be
that.
bad. I mean, be badass,
awesome.
dude. And
I mean, the Revival late model race was probably the best late model race I've seen in person when it went to Joaquini.
Yep. Yeah, it was.
I guess you touched on it being a fan of Lucas Oil. How much racing outside of your own race pay attention to? And I guess, do you have drivers that even you look up to or have a favorite driver on the Lucas Oil Tour?
You know, I am a big fan of Ricky Thornton, and it's, you know, I raced him here. He came here for the stock car shootout.
Yeah, he did. Night number 1.
Yep.
They went home for the night number 2.
Well, they got DQ.
Yeah.
But
That's the only time I've announced Ricky Thornton Jr.
But he was here, right? And I've raced against him lots of times throughout the years. And it's just awesome to see a guy that I've been able to start next to go out there and dominate big races. You know, how can you not be a fan of that? You know, and there's lots of them that I like. I like Big Perm, and I watch F1. You know what I mean? I like Lando Norris and the F1 stuff, and Kimmy, the new kid. You know, he's 17 years old and killing it. You know, I don't watch a lot of sprint car stuff, but or NASCAR stuff that much. Actually, I watch some of it, but not as much as I probably should. You know what I watch the most of? I watch a lot of goddamn golf, which is insane. You wouldn't think
I tried it
like,
once. I fell asleep instantly.
yeah, you wouldn't think it. Well, no, like I don't watch. If you ever get a chance, go watch some YouTube golf. I'm not kidding.
All right.
I'm not kidding. Go watch Bob Does Sports on YouTube and tell me you ain't laughing your ass off by the time you're done. These guys are fucking hilarious. They're out there doing like hot dog challenges or like can we drink a case of beer in 6 holes of golf? You know what I mean? and I mean, I'm not. It's hilarious. You gotta watch. That's the shit that I watch all the time. My old lady is like, "What are you doing watching this stupid stuff?" But it's funny to me.
Yeah, that sounds like my kind of golf. I mean,
Yeah.
the one time I went golfing, I got my golf cart privileges taken away after four holes because I was definitely thinking a little too much. But
Yeah.
And then in some way, sounds like we're similar because I remember all my college buddies and I were over in Brewster one night after a Colby race that my buddy Dylan Reese had came over from Colorado, and he it's 2 a.m. and we're still up and we're watching lawnmower racing at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And we're just having the time of our life.
Yeah. No, now that I'm older, like you won't find me doing athletic stuff very much anymore because I'm not as athletic. But at one time, I was fairly athletic, and you could have challenged me to anything, and I would be down. I mean, whether it's arm wrestling or anything, I'm just competitive as all get out. I love it.
Are you? We might be getting off track here, but are you TikTok obsessed like fellow stock car driver Doug Holzmeister? I swear every 5 minutes he's sending me a TikTok that he thinks is funny.
No, I'm not a TikToker.
Okay.
In fact, I'm not. There was a point in time in my life where I was a social media kind of when I first got into it, I was really good at it, and there's so much negative shit out there, and like people bashing racetracks or talking shit about the surface. If me and you are going to sit here and have a conversation about what the racetrack's like or what a driver's like, that's different. Mm-hmm. I don't like that anybody can just stick all this negative shit out there. Yep. And politics is all crazy, and it just seems like all these people have lost their freaking minds, to be honest with you. I like positive stuff, and I'm only going to post something positive. I'm never going to get on Facebook or TikTok or social media and hammer a driver that I don't like. I'm just, if I got a problem with you, you probably know it because I've already said something to you about it. But it's easy, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't like my kids doing that stuff. And so and I don't know why, but half the stuff I see is it's either hilarious or it's really inappropriate, you know what I mean? So I maybe it's just what
Troy must be on Twitter.
Yeah.
I would love to. What I was getting at though is I would love to be more active in the social media thing. I know that it does a good job with your branding. I've talked to my kids about trying to do a better job with their social media stuff. We're just, I don't know, we're just different. I can't get to that point where I'm just posting stuff on a regular basis. So if I post something, it's because my kid won or they did something I'm proud of, you know what I mean? And hell, half the time, even if I win, I don't post it all the time, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I never ever post all of our results, which I wish I did, because people ask me all the time to do that more often, and I just don't. So I need to hire somebody just to do the shit for me, to be honest with you, because I don't. I just am not good at it, or I'm just not thinking about it. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about when I don't have a good night or the car didn't do what I wanted to. I'm not thinking about getting on Facebook and talking about it. I'm thinking about what I should do to fix it. You know what I mean? And then fixing it. But that's just me.
Yeah. Anything else, Tanner?
I don't think I got anything that comes to mind.
All right. I think.
Is that it? I don't get asked no damn questions?
Well, go for
ask
it.
away.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, what the hell got you into racing?
Well, okay. So I've
Now you put him on the spot.
Hey, and why is Tanner's arm hair blonde?
I don't even think you can get scientists to answer that question.
He just told me his eye color changed because he got sprayed in the face with something.
As a kid, I was a little hellion. And we were in Home Depot in Denver, and I decided I was going to spray the fire extinguisher because I wanted to see what would happen. Well, there was a big old white cloud, and
Nice.
my parents quickly decided that it was time for us to leave. But I guess the chemicals got in my eye, and they went from blue to whatever you classify them as now, hazel, green, whatever they are.
Nice. Now, so, growing up, my dad was a big NASCAR fan, big Davey Allison fan, all of them. And, first, 5-6 years of my life, it was him and me laying on a couch together every Sunday watching the NASCAR Cup race. So, he's always been a big race fan. And then my parents split it, and I moved up to Wisconsin, and my stepdad is big into the asphalt super late model stuff up there. So he's actually a spotter for a couple of different teams now. So I was at the track every weekend. And then when I came back for college, I started at KU, which was a dumb decision, but that's a whole different story. But, I moved back to Goodland, and I started going to a couple of races, and it was always fun. And then I kind of got away from this sport for a couple of years. And then in 21, during COVID, I was watching World of Outlaws every week because they were the only sporting event to come back from COVID. And so I really got into that. And then, I've always enjoyed writing, and even at KU, I did really well in English and everything. And it's always been like a hobby of mine. So I asked BJ to start covering the sport in Colby. And he's like, well, I'm not going to write anything, so we might as well let you do it. And the first article was a little rough. And then I had a really solid second article. And BJ is like, hey, you got to be at track every week because you're helping the sport.
Yep.
So, that's how I got into it. And then I became pretty good buddies with Tanner. And now when Tanner goes and does the big time Heartland mod stuff, I get a chance to, help out. And I announced a race in Colby, and I think you won, and I got to interview you, and that was pretty cool. But yeah, I've just always been a big racing fan. Everybody in not everybody in my friend circle, but I have a few friends that get crap because almost every night I've got Flo on watching some sort of racing, whether it's the Cars late model tour or Lucas Oil guys. I'm a really big Ricky Thornton fan, and then Logan Seavey on the open wheels or on the midget and sprint car side. I'm a real big fan of Logan, and actually met him in Beloit a couple of years ago, so that was pretty cool. But I've just always been a fan, and now I get paid to film, and I get to announce every once in a while. So it's just really
That's
fun
awesome
to be so involved in the sport. I never thought we'd get this involved, but I love it. And now my dad's at the racetrack almost every weekend with me, and now he has the itch. He's like, oh, let's just save some money and go buy a hobby dog. And he's like, they can hire another camera guy. You can just jump in a race car. And it's like, well, I don't know about all that. But I mean, I'd love to race, but, I just don't know what I'd want to start with because, my best buddy, Ted Trumbo, has a hobby stock. So it'd be cool to jump in a hobby stock and go race against him. But, economically, Sport Compact would probably be the first. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll get in a car, or Tanner will go big time, and they'll just announce. We'll see.
Tanner's close, dude. He's
Yeah.
scratching at the surface.
Yeah.
He's pretty big time already.
Yeah.
So, Tanner, what got you into the sport, and who are your favorite drivers?
Oh, I don't think you have enough time for me to list favorite drivers, but
I do. I want to hear this.
My dad, I guess both my parents, they've just been race fans. Like they'd go to the racetrack. Nobody in my family. Well, I can't say that. My uncle, my dad's sister, her husband, he raced late models for a very limited time. But other than that, nobody in my family's raced. We've been race fans, and from my earliest memories, I've just been going to the racetrack with my dad and my mom when she was still alive. And the last time that we, as a family, were hanging out, it was at a racetrack, and I was the kid that would bring, my dad and mom had bags of like the earmuffs and some snacks in their seats, and I had my own separate bag, and it was just full of little die-cast cars. And I'd sit there and run them around on the bleachers during the races. And then, this is my 14th year announcing. So 15 years ago in Goodland, one of the announcers retired. He was the announcer in Colby and in Goodland. He just decided he was a state trooper. He retired from that, so he decided he was going to be done doing racing too, and he was just going to kind of enjoy his time. And we asked his co-announcer in Goodland if I could be the announcer, and he's like, well, Tanner doesn't really have any experience. He can't do this, can't do that. So we don't think so. And then they went through a year of, I think, 3 announcers that weren't necessarily the greatest. And he was just the radio guy, and he didn't know a whole lot about racing. And then the start of the next year, there was a sticky note on my dad's door, because I think we went out to lunch, and it was, hey, can have Tanner call me. And it was Curtis, the announcer from Goodland. And since then, Goodland for 5 years. My 5th year, I became the announcer here because Huey retired. And then my 6th year announcing, I took over Colby, so 3 tracks right off the bat there. And then here we are, 14 years later.
Well, it's pretty awesome.
Favorite drivers, so buckle up. Because NASCAR, I have 7 favorite drivers. It used to be Dale Jr., but I'm like, hey, let's spread the love a little bit. And now when all of them wreck, I'm just equally as pissed off, if not more.
Yeah.
But you've got the Hendrick 4, so Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Josh Berry, Ryan Blaney. There's probably one I'm missing. We'll call it 6. It was Martin Truex Jr., but he retired. Dirt track
Briscoe
wise,
fan?
huh?
No love for Briscoe?
I'm not upset if he wins, but if he loses, I'm not upset either.
Hey, if Chris Himes watching somewhere, you're in deep shit.
Yeah, Chris might be mad at me. I don't hate Briscoe, okay? So, Chris, if you're watching, your win is okay in my opinion. But dirt track wise, now this is where you can just say I cherry picked the favorites. But I was a Brad Sweet fan before he was big, because he raced for Junior in the Xfinity Series, so that's where the love for Big Cat came from. And then I haven't watched a ton of late model stuff, but I went to announce Springfield for the Turkey Bowl a couple years ago, and they had late models, and Bobby Pierce was there, and I kind of watched the way he raced, and I didn't get to meet him because he bailed before I could get out of the announcer's booth. But I kind of followed Bobby Pierce, Ricky Thornton Jr., another one, just because kind of, he came from the IMCA ranks, and now he's a pretty much professional race car driver. That's his job, and I think it's kind of cool that somebody in, the sanction that I grew up watching and announcing is now one of the top of their game. I don't watch much IndyCar. I've watched 10 laps of an F1 race 2 years ago. It's pretty much stock cars for me.
Would it be weird if you had to tell me who your favorite IMCA hobby stock driver would be?
IMCA hobby stock driver. I don't know. I really don't know. Because, I'm friends with Olmsted, with Cross. I'm friends with a bunch of them, so I don't want to cause a fight. I don't want everybody to have to fight over the announcer's favorite. It might be more entertaining for me.
Is it pretty much whoever doesn't wreck their shit?
Tonight, when you're announcing, you can just say, and my favorite driver, number 57, Eric Cross.
Eric would love that. But
He would love that.
I don't know. If pretty much whoever doesn't start the chain of one lap for 45 minutes, caution, that's going to be my favorite for the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. I better get some tire work done. We got a big so tonight we're gonna get
prep to do.
Yeah, we're gonna race tonight. We have to be in Albion we have to be there by 11 because they're doing pre-tech.
Sheesh.
And the qualifying starts at 2:30. And so if we get out of here by 11 tonight, and then we got to change gears, Wash the cars, hit the road. It's 4.5 hours
Yeah.
from here.
Probably really wishing you had some quick changes, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that'd be nice, dude. I tell you what, man, that late model quick change, it just spoils a butt. I'm in the car coming from hot laps, and I'm yelling at him, going, "Hey, give me 14." Tate's over there, and it's like done in 5 seconds. I'm just like, this is stupid. And then yesterday we had a gear changing party at the shop. For those of you who don't know, I own Exhibit Customs, and there was a ton of people there yesterday, and we're all just changing gears in the shop. And it's like, yeah, I mean, 30 minutes easy per car, and that sucks when you can do it in 3 minutes. You know what I mean? And you don't have to lug around some 100-pound, piece of cast iron to do it. But
yeah,
that's all right. I'm fine with it. We either need to get quick changes or all the tracks need to be the same.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Well, thank you for stopping by, Troy.
You betcha.